He's now the member of the Pro Action Geek Squad. Way to go.
All right, well, we're recording now, Mr. Rumsey.
Okay. Ready?
Looks like it. So we'll officially call this meeting to order, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, which you can all look at the flag right behind you, Mr. Rumsey.
I'm sharing something right now.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Board of Education for the month of January. As we have been here and there the last few months, we are having this meeting via Zoom. Board members present online and visible, we have Amy Rusak, Pam Cleveland, Dr. Susan Narby, Scott Ward, and Michael Warren.
And Mrs. Yardim's correct.
I'm here now.
And Mrs. Yardim. All right. We'll get right into things. Or is there any additions or deletions to the agenda, Mr. Rumsey?
There is no instructional appointment on 5.2.3, so that's deleted.
Okay. All right. So then I'll take a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on December 10th, 2020.
So moved, Ward.
Second.
Second by Dr. Narby. Any discussion? And we'll go through our roll call vote here. I'll just go in the order of when people came in. So Cleveland.
Aye.
Narby.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Warren.
Aye.
Rusak.
Aye.
Yardim.
Aye.
And Mishuk is aye. So that motion carries 7-0. All right, Mr. Rumsey, your show.
Thank you. So really, the meeting, the overall part of the meeting will be Mrs. McKenna and Mr. Sutton as they go through some of the audit pieces. Just to highlight some of the things right now. It's hard to believe, but we're nearing the end of the first semester with the halfway point being the Superintendent's Conference Day on February 1st. We were talking about it today at our Professional Learning Committee. It's amazing. We're 11 months into this since we went closed on March 16th. And there was a lot of positives to celebrate as far as what we've overcome, but we're all tired and we all really want to get our kids back every day. I can tell you that. So, finals week is going to look differently without the Regents exams, but we'll have the local finals involved and some exams that settle the APPR pieces, and then a change in schedule with the high school, as we discussed at last meeting, with one remote day for the high school to allow that transition and for preparation for the second semester. Athletics, indoor track has begun. That's a bigger team this year based on the lack of activities for kids. And we did change that based on the Section 5 had it set up where we were going to 2 locations with over a dozen schools from multicolored zones all mixing and matching. And it wasn't so much the races, it was in between there. So many of the schools from Steuben County backed out of that. And we're scheduling one-on-one track dual meets here in the county. And Coach Ludden has done a good job with that and scheduled home and away with Corning, with Avoca Prattsburgh, with Hornell. So the kids are going to get significant numbers of meets and be doing combinations of indoor, outdoor meets if the weather's good, indoor meets and/or combination virtual when it comes to shot put, discus, things such as that. So they're working together and getting very creative so the kids have activities. Boys swimming is going on. We have open gyms in a structured manner approved by public health, off-season workouts for different sports, and more proposals for different teams that are coming, and trying to keep our kids active as possible and yet keep it safe and follow the protocols. Academic All-Stars is on the way. And we even have activities where the seniors have put forth a nice proposal that I've approved, where they're going to be discussing with their parents. Obviously, the seniors' crazy year has been nuts, and felt bad for last year. This year, it's almost the entire year for the seniors, and it's struggling. So, knowing what's in the air, there won't be much of a senior trip, but they're looking at where they've got an opportunity to go to Swain, do tubing, have the hills to themselves and everything over February break. So we're making that happen for our kids. So that'll be a cool activity. Our new treasurer started, Sue Stewart from GST BOCES. You'll meet her at a future meeting. Just jumping around here, Albany, the Governor Cuomo has started the State of the State in his virtual creative ways, starting on Monday, and every day he's got part of his Emmy Award winning show, and we still don't have numbers, and honestly, I don't know when we will, because he's really posturing for extra stimulus money from the feds, and that's really going to hurt us in budget time, because that's what he's banking everything on, and if he doesn't get that, it's going to be devastating for this region. So, I have mixed emotions personally how I feel about it versus what it's going to do to us, so I hope it works out soon. COVID numbers. We had a scary week after the Christmas break. Last weekend we had only 3 positives, but it had several quarantines, an interruption of the swim meet. This week, knock on wood, it's been a good week so far. We've had no positives, just a handful of quarantines, and we hope to continue that way as the numbers come down from the county. I'm working regularly with Steuben County Public Health and the county director. We have a standing Tuesday call, but I'm with them every day now. It seems like we've been planning a future pod vaccine clinic for those that want it. It's not mandatory, but that's based on quality or access to vaccines, which we don't have, and some of the regs that Governor Cuomo's put in that with having a doctor on site we don't have. So that's kicked down the road a little bit. So now we're pushing out different vaccine clinics for those that want it. Saturday, there is an open clinic, but it's only for 200 doses, and it's split equally between EMS with others in Group 1B, including teachers. It was put online today and was closed in 7 minutes, with teachers having just 75 doses. But that's going to be held in our gym on Saturday. And what we're doing is, because that's when, remember all the old drills we had a couple years ago, it's the centrally located large area, and they're expecting to try to do it weekly with increases in doses, with thousands of doses at a time. And it may be on school days. We'll put out a carefully crafted call to all of our parents where we can segregate that whole field house off from the remaining part of the school and not have any kids access there, and still make that happen. Unfortunately, I'm sure as Mrs. Yardom is aware, that the turnaround time for when you get the doses to the turnaround time when you get to put it out is minimal. So it's going to be a pretty short turnaround. So that's why we're putting these arrangements in place at the 3 larger areas in the county, Hornell, Corning, and Bath, with the larger one of Bath, to meet as many people as possible as the doses start coming. So the numbers right now, just an update from last time. And honestly, we did a comparison with the other schools in our area, and I'm not going to go into their numbers, but we're much less than some of the smaller schools in our areas. We haven't, it's going to sound terrible what we have, but when you do a comparison with our enrollment populations and staffing, we've done really, really well. Part of that is our protocols. Part of that is luck. And, and we've dodged a lot of bullets. And if we were a cat, we have probably 11 lives now, as far as dodging large quarantines. Well, we have right now a total of 28 total positives. That includes 9 staff. Now, at last month's board meeting, I reported there was 3 staff, so we've gone up 6 from then. Last month's board meeting, I reported 5 high school. We're up to 8. 2 of those are not even on our campus, though. They're from BOCES and Elmira, so they're never set foot here, but they're in our high school numbers. 9 are from middle school, and we were at 7 last time, and the VW has had 2 and no increases. That doesn't mean we've had significant quarantines. Maybe 20 kids roll in and 20 kids roll out as they kind of roll. It's just an ever-going roller coaster. But as far as positive cases over this time frame right now, we've done well. And it's scary because I think 28 is bad. You know, it sickens my stomach every time we
Is
do it.
28 the cumulative, Joe?
Yes.
I'm just going to tell you that's phenomenal. Being, I'll just speak to at our hospital alone, I have 18 positive employees, and right now, literally, like, so to have 28 through this entire time period is truly a testament. I know that you think that seems like a lot. That is nothing. And that's really, I think, a testament to the team and all of your work, all of the team's work. That's great.
Thank you. And it really hit home when we were looking at the neighboring schools, including the smaller ones. And I say this because it feels like that's all we're doing is contact tracing. I mean, we're living this all the time and doing things and moving through things, and it's bad. There's been a lot of quarantines, but we've been able to stay staffed, and that's allowed us to stay open. And I've even had consultations with public health, even over Christmas on the Tuesday before we're supposed to open up, and with superintendents all there. I asked the question, should we close for a week or so to allow the break from Christmas? And we were told no. If the more you kick that down the road, it just carries out. You're just kicking the can down the road. Really, if you can open up, then people are in routine. We know schools are the safest places. When schools are on vacation, people go to gatherings. It just prolongs the inevitable of those positive cases. If we can get through this piece and be safe, then we're good. You know, and honestly, in school, you know, there's a lot of different attitudes. Some that are very scared, some that are not taking it seriously enough, and we just take a straightforward protocol from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is our attitude, and we have to go this route. I've been so proud of our staff and our kids. Our kids are phenomenal. Our kids are taking it so seriously, and they're doing well. They're the most resilient group I've ever seen in my life, and we could all learn from them. I'll leave it at that. I'm so proud of them. And that's all I have. I'll stop right there.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board members for Mr. Rumsey?
I've got one. Lots of stuff on social media and people saying, how can you prove that the cases are not coming from school? I know I directed a few of those to you, Joe. What are you saying and how do you prove that?
Okay, and I cold called a couple of those folks, and they were very receptive of my calls. What I would say to that is, although I can't be 100% sure, you know, in these scenarios, I can tell you that through the data that public health has, and because our nurses I'm working with them sometimes on the contact tracing with our principals, we can trace those back to a contact that the individual that's positive can connect it with. Many times I was helping my relative move. He turned up positive. Now, lo and behold, this person's positive. I was at a gathering with my family. My sister turned up positive. Every single one of them so far has come up that way. You know, does that mean it's going to be that way forever? Absolutely not. Soon enough, there's been cases in some schools where they traced it to a classroom. We have dodged that bullet many times. And is it possible that somebody got it from school based on that? The vulnerable piece that we're facing are all the quarantines that come from when people test positive outside of school. But those contact tracing pieces, and Darlene has backed that up as far as what schools. There've been a couple places they've tracked it into schools in the county, but they have yet to do that here. So can I confidently say that? Absolutely. Can I convince everybody? No. But I wouldn't put out anything that I didn't believe, and that's where we're at.
And I don't think it's really any different. 95+% of positives, and even so in healthcare and in our system, they're all coming from outside exposures, not because of the frontline staff that are working with positive COVID patients that are using the appropriate precautions. They all went to social gather, and when we do our contact contact tracing, we're finding the exact same issues. So of the 31 employees I might have had on quarantine, 30 out of 31 were on quarantine because of external exposures of not following protocols and using the appropriate guidance, not because they acquired it within or quarantined because of work exposures. So I think that data translates to the school as well.
Yep. So, you know, whenever anybody hears any of those folks, you know, you know, the few on social media that people had sent to me, a couple of them I know that I called, they felt better about after I spoke with them. I didn't convince them entirely, but I think they felt better. And a couple of them were asking why we didn't close after Christmas, because some schools not in our region did. But every school in our county stayed open for the reason where they were. We were told if we could staff it, please stay open, which we were able to do. So I would, if anybody has a concern that approaches you, please kick them my way. You know, and if it does be where there's a trace, you know, I'll own it. My goal has been to be as transparent as possible, which is why the thousands of calls and everything else going out right now.
I would say the same thing is happening at ProAction. You know, we have a lot of people out, but not one of them has been from, every single one of them can be traced to something outside of the classroom. And, you know, you hear these stories, and I'm kind of living it right now with Alexa. It's like these outliers, right? So Alexa has been one of the only people in my bubble for months. And so I see her pretty much every weekend, sometimes during the week with the babies. But, you know, her mother-in-law was having her kitchen gutted and had no water, and they had power off. And so she came to stay with them for, you know, 2 weeks. Well, mother-in-law gets COVID, babysits the babies, spends time with Alexa and Justin because she's living there, and now they're quarantined. Yep. Where they have had a very, very, you know, very small bubble, as you want to call it, and just takes one little outlying factor. And
yep. Now I will add, and Sue, this is an answer too, that I'm speaking our campus alone. I can tell you that there have been appears to be cases on the BOCES campuses where our kids go to, where it's been you know, a positive case. I can't say that confidently, but you know, they've had to shut down a couple of times based on cases from one student from one school to another student from another school potentially.
Any more questions from board members?
Thank you for bringing that up, Sue.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rumsey. And as you mentioned, thank you to all the staff and administrators that are keeping things going for us. So we're very fortunate.
Yep, very proud of them.
Okay, we'll go now to a report from our internal auditor, Mr. Chris Sutton, who's going to talk about the risk assessment he just did. And I will turn it over to you, Chris.
Okay, thank you. Joe, do you want me to share the screen? I think you got to make me host or something. Or does everybody have a hard copy?
Everybody has a copy, I believe. You all.
Okay.
Yeah, we all had a copy in our
You
packet.
got a copy. Great.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll just go through it from there. Okay, we did your risk assessment in December. We did it remotely. I felt it was a very good risk assessment. Again, there's a couple of recommendations. Some of them are carryovers from last year when we did this. Obviously, you have not had time with everything going on to make the adjustments that were required, and you can't bring some people in to make some of those adjustments. So you may see some duplicate items that you might have saw last time on the risk assessment report as far as recommendations. We go over to page 2. You'll see under about quarter of the way down under audit recommendations, one of the areas I'm recommending, and I will take any other area also where anybody would have some ideas, but 19A driver transportation requirements, just to make sure nothing is slipping through the crack, because we've had drivers off, we've had different drivers coming in. It's not a bad idea, I don't think, to take a run through some of those 19A requirements and make sure they're nothing slipped through the crack there. We can discuss that at the end also, but that's kind of the summary of page 2. The rest of it's just the methodology and the objectives and the risks and like that. If you turn it over to page 3, you'll see the 9 auditable areas that we're looking at: checked revenue, cash management, purchasing and expenditures, payroll, extra class, governance, accounting and reporting, assets inventory, facilities and construction, student services and data, where I checked the safety on that section. If you go down into the main section of it, and if anybody has any questions, just speak right up and stop me right in the middle of it. I'm open to answering questions whenever. I have not made any changes to your risks. I know your treasurer left a couple of months ago. I didn't see any weaknesses from that. I saw segregation of duty backups with some sign-offs from other people, while some people were filling in for that. I just heard Joe say that you do have a new treasurer that's starting now from GSD BOCES. That's good news. So I'm not going to change anything as far as inherent control or residual risks as far as this report goes. I was happy with what I saw. So if we start right off with the first one, governance and control environment, I reviewed your Board of Education meetings, your reorganization meetings. I found no issues there. You had 1 new board member. I saw the training was done with that new board member, so that was good. You're currently in the process. You were in the process last time of creating subcommittees, updating your policies and procedures. I understand you have not had time since we talked last. Things have gone crazy for you. So I'm just putting it there as another reference, as a reminder. Not that I'm pushing it too hard right now. Get through what you've got to get through first. As I said, district treasurer left. Currently, I think everything's being handled properly the way I see it from the samples that I took. So I'm recommending no changes to inherent risk due to that. If you go down to the second one, facilities, maintenance, and construction, the BCS, it's being done within the state regulations and timeframes. Your next BCS is due in 2023. You did have many facilities improvements. As I've said before, your facility just looks tremendous. But we'll talk about that when we get down to the assets and inventory. I do have a recommendation there that's been made in the past also, but nothing there under the facilities and maintenance, just that the BCS is due again in 2023. Revenue cash management, did a sample, no issues found under the sample that I looked at with bank statements. Deposits are on time. Incoming cash log is matching up to it. So all the segregation of duties on that cash looked to be good from the samples that I took. Under the assets and inventory, I saw that the last time you took, and this was similar to last year when we talked. The last physical inventory you took for your assets was in October 9th, 2014 through Industrial Appraisals Company. Since then, you've made just tremendous improvements, which means a lot of assets have been added and deleted in your facilities. I would recommend that you have one of these companies come through as soon as we're through this pandemic and do an inventory, a physical count of an inventory, tagging properly, and then get a good reconciliation out with your ledgers. After that, keep track of it with your adds and your deletes, and about every 4 to 5 years, have that same physical inventory come in and be taken, because you've got a lot of money that you poured in there over the last few years. And just be good to have some accounting for it. Accounting reporting, the 5th one under there. Took samples, asked questions, good segregation of duties, they're being kept up with, sign-offs to reconciliations, there's sign-offs on payroll, purchasing authorizations, there's receipt logs. Currently, the only thing I see there that I would recommend on the accounting reporting is a 3 to 5 year financial plan. something that can tell you guys high level, what am I getting at the top? What am I spending? What's the anticipation for that? So you can see, do I need to set up a reserve for something? Can I release some money for a reserve for something? So that you got your reserve planning in order and you've got a plan like that going forward. So that's recommended. I know it takes a while to get something like that going, but just an idea out there for improvement. But basically nothing under the accounting and reporting the way things are being done right now. Just something there that could probably improve your ability to look out at those reserves, look out 3 to 5 years and see if you're going to have a problem someplace so that you can start setting yourself up for how you're going to handle that. If you go into the next one, the student services and data, I looked at the safety teams. Currently, what I can see in 2021 is the team meetings are taking place, but there are no team minutes or attendees or action items or anything like that that I could find. So I'd recommend that, strongly that when those meetings are taking place, have somebody keep the minutes, keep the attendees, keep the action logs on those, keep things that are completed, not completed. So if you ever have a problem, you can refer back to those things of what you were doing. If you look at 7, purchasing and expenditures. Moving over to page 5, sampled your purchases, reviewed your purchasing dates to receiving, to PO dates, to make sure authorizations are proper. I found no confirming purchase orders and sample taken, which is excellent. That's an improvement over where we've been in the past. Not to say if I made my sample a lot bigger, I probably could find those. I can find them any place. You guys know that. But none were found by me in my sample, so I've got no issues there with the purchasing. Under payroll, number 8, no issues were found from the samples there. I looked at your pay rates, your wage agreements, your W-4s, your IT 2104s to make sure the deductions taken off of there were what you were deducting in your payroll registers. I-9 information was correct. You're getting proper authorizations on the distributions, your business officials signing off on any payroll changes, adds, deletes, anything like that. That's being signed off by Teresa. And your superintendent, Joe, is signing the entire payroll register for an approval, doing a scan through that, signing that. So one of the areas, payroll is one of the areas that has considerable inherent risk just because of what it is. I think you're covering your segregation of duties there very, very well. And that's good to have. Number 9, the last one, extra classroom activities fund. No issues I found from that. I sampled about 3 of your large dollar club items. I did a smaller sample this year due to your club activity being much lower because of the pandemic. But I could see it's being kept up. And we did, last couple of years, I think it was 2 years ago, we really did an in-depth audit of your extra class, made a few adjustments to it, small recommendations. When I looked at it last year, you'd put those into place, and we're doing real well with it. So I was pleased there. So we'll take another look at that one next year, but doing a good job there, in my opinion. So concluding, as long as everybody agrees with this 19A driver transportation and what would be involved in that 19A, you'd be looking at to make sure all your drivers have had their physicals and in the right amount of time frame, because if they're off for so long and you had them off between March and June, if they're off for so long, they have to have those physicals redone. We'd be looking at physical performance tests. Have those been done? Licenses, drug testing, safety, fingerprint clearance for any new ones. So just a good idea, I think, to look at something that could fall through the cracks on somebody. Hopefully it hasn't. So any other recommendations on that, or is everybody kind of okay with going ahead with that 19A transportation check? Everybody's okay
I
then?
think would be okay. Yeah, we'll approve that here in a little bit to have you go forward. And that
Okay.
route. Yep.
Okay, so you're okay with it there?
Yeah,
or-
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay,
Chris,
good.
is there software that schools use to kind of track all that? I know that where I work, we only have a handful of buses, so it's not very many, but I would think like some districts have huge fleets of buses where, you know, those things would be prompted with like you'd get a notification, this one's expiring at this much time or whatever. I'm just curious.
Most of the time in the districts that I'm looking at, it's spreadsheets that it's kept on.
Right.
And it depends on the transportation director, supervisor, as to whether they're keeping those spreadsheets with those reminders on them. We've got some of the schools may have 9 drivers, some may have 15, some may have 25.
Right.
So they don't have software programs for them, but I think they're being kept on spreadsheets.
I'm guessing Mr. Ortiz is very
Mostly.
organized, so that's
I
my
am too.
guess.
That's my guess also.
We have a software that tells us when things are due.
Oh, okay, great. He's corrected me.
Maybe he's not so organized. He's relying on the software.
And is it all up to date, we feel, or nothing's fallen through the cracks?
I think we're okay. Are you going to check the state ed folders also, or just the 19A files?
19A.
Okay.
Yep. It'd be a remote audit, Derek, with the, you'd send me the total bus drivers that you have. I would take a sample of those and maybe take half of your drivers, send back what I want to see, and then just have that scanned back to me to make sure everything's within the dates and the timeframes that they're supposed to be.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're up to date, so we're good.
Okay. Well, if somebody comes up with something else they want to look at, please let me know.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these at some of the other districts, and I have found some things elsewhere, but that's why I'm trying to suggest some of these because of the
No,
time.
it's good. I think we look at different topics every, so I think it's good I don't think this is an area we've had looked at, so I think it'd be good for.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of Chris selecting this, and I think it's a good idea because the comptroller just hammered a couple other schools across the state on the same issues right now. So this is perfect, and I'm confident we're in good shape, but this will be a good educational piece.
Well, it'll give you some backup too if you can show a report where, if it comes out perfect, great.
Yep.
And a piece of paper here that says, hey, we did an audit, we did an internal audit on it, and it came back fine. No
And
problem.
we're talking about people driving our kids. Let's make it right for the right reasons. So that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Are there any other questions for Chris from the board? All right. Well, we appreciate you coming on tonight.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. Keep up the good work. And I know how hard you're working, how hard this is. So keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it.
Chris, great to see
Teresa and Derek, I'll be in touch with you to set that up.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Well, since we just heard that, we might as well jump and take care of the business item 5.1.4 right now. So I'll take a motion then to approve or accept the internal audit risk assessment that we just heard about, as well as the recommendation to move forward with looking at the transportation testing of 19A.
Warren, so moved.
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Rusak. Any questions or comments? All right. Cleveland.
Aye.
Narby.
Aye.
Ward.
Bye.
Warren.
Aye.
Rusak.
Aye.
Yardum.
Aye.
Mishuk, aye. That motion carries 7-0. The other audit items we had that were in your packet was a report on the extracurricular audit and the results. And there's also the business staff had a corrective action plan in there. Teresa, is there anything you'd like to highlight on that?
The extra class audit was by Tom.
That was our external auditor. Yep.
And that one, our corrective action plan is, Donna's doing a wonderful job. It's just gonna, take time. And this year with the kids being here half-time, it's kind of frustrating for everybody because it's a lot more paperwork, because they have to check with the kids and all that. So, it's gonna be a work in process. The single audit is our federal grants, just so you're aware of that. There's no corrective action plan needed for that one. For Chris's audit, we do currently in the 21-22 budget, I put in money for the industrial appraisal. I can't guarantee it's going to stay there until we get our revenue numbers, but at least, it's in there, so you're aware of that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Teresa? Okay, so why don't we jump ahead to then and do the item 5.1.5, and we'll take a motion to approve then the corrective action plan that was presented for the extracurricular audit.
Yardam, so moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second, Ward.
Okay, with a motion and a second, any questions on those reports? Okay, go through the roll call here. Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardam,
Aye.
Mishuk, aye. That carries 7-0. By the way, if you guys ever have time and want to watch a good movie about why we have to have all these audits, check out Bad Education, which is about the whole Roslyn scandal back in 2004 in Long Island. It's fascinating, but the result of that was why we have all these various audits. So anyways, that's my plug for the night.
Roslyn, they're still under review. I mean, so it's the,
Yeah. Okay. Before we hear about the budget, I'll take a motion to approve the recommendations from the Committee on Special Education.
I'll move it.
Motion by Rusak,
Second, Yardam.
Yardam second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor? Sorry. Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardam,
Aye.
Mishuk, aye. That carries 7-0. And then any questions on the administrative reports that were submitted this month? The only question I had, I think this might be really for Teresa, was Anto noted in his that Bath Electric and Gas changed our, I guess what we're classified as from commercial to industrial, that's raising our utility rates. Was there, that just came out of the blue, or how did that come about?
I don't know. They had given him a heads up and said that I think it had something to do with the lights on the field, but I'm not sure. But he did let us know that we've bumped up. So
yeah, it's something we're working on. It's when they installed the new transformers, basically there's a charge every time you kick the lights on now that wasn't there before. We're resolving that issue, but it was a surprise.
Yeah.
We're not done with that one yet.
Okay. It's kind of not what we wanted to see heading into the budget season there.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other questions on those reports? Any update real quick before we go to the budget and the capital project, Mr. Rumsey?
Just that the final punch list items should be done over this Monday, Martin Luther King Day. And then just a reminder that on Monday, the 25th at 6, we'll be meeting with via Zoom with Chuck Bastion and Sarah Bradshaw from Bernie Donegan's office, our financial planners, and with Jeff Robbins, we'll be going over all the good things that went with the project that we just had and showing the timelines for future projects as you go planning with your facilities committees. So it's a good one. It'll be our only topic for the night. It's a special meeting and it's a good quality meeting.
Also, our capital outlay, we had the new boilers put in. Antone came in today and said they are up and going, so that's awesome.
Good.
Yep, that went well.
Oh, and then the other news on our emergency project, we did hear back from facilities planning saying that they are going to consider it an emergency. So we should get aid on that next year. So that's another Christmas present.
Good. Well, why don't we keep the good news rolling, hopefully, and have you keep going, Teresa, with the budget report.
Well, I can't guarantee that.
Yeah, tried.
We gave you a budget calendar. You'll see there's room in there for a lot of budget workshops. We're kind of just waiting to get numbers. We have a meeting the 21st with Erie One BOCES to get their costs. Then in February, we're tentatively going to get GST's costs. So we'll be getting those filled in. We were hoping to give you revenue numbers, but we haven't gotten that yet. So we're kind of we've got a lot of things in there, just waiting to see what the other side is. I've also given Joe, he was going to share his screen just to show you our revenue or our reserves that we currently have in place. The capital reserve, we have over $1 million, and that is in a CD for 3 months. I wanted to take advantage of the interest being a little bit more. TRS reserve, liability reserve, ERS reserve, we have the EBLA reserve, and the unemployment insurance reserve. Depending upon where we are at the end of the year, I may ask for you to pull that one in. It's only $20,000, but just so you're aware, it's not a lot, but in a time like this, we may need to use it.
Everybody see the reserves highlighted there, okay?
Yep.
I'll forward that to you as well. It's in your packet now. Just wanted to share it so you could refer to it when she was speaking. But we'll refer back to those in the future budget presentations. But really, that's the status of where we're at.
Do we have any idea on tax cap rate right now? I know the state came out with a general one. I don't know how that affects us.
It's lower than last year as far as the CPI. I'm working with Bernie's office to our capital exemption is what's making me nervous. We've got to keep that steady. We're looking at different ways to do that. Just, before I give it to you, I want to make sure that, we have options. So hopefully after our phone call on the 25th, we'll be feeling a lot better on that one.
Okay. Does anybody have from the board, any questions for Teresa or Joe right now?
Just want to throw in that, Teresa mentioned the budget workshops. That budget calendar this year will be a working, living document more so than in the past because we don't have the revenues. We don't know when it's going to happen because the governor is playing the stimulus package game. So I'm feeling maybe, we'll take closer looks at smaller pieces, but, that it might be a rush with 2 or 3 workshops as we go through the budget. But just kind of, I'll keep you abreast, but kind of keep that as a living document as opposed to set in stone.
Okay. We'll move on then to the recommendations of the superintendent of schools. All these items were in our packets. Take a motion then to approve the business consent agenda.
So moved.
Second, Yardum.
Item second, motion was made by Dr. Narby. Any questions or discussion? All right, Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardum,
Aye.
Mishuk, aye. That motion carries 7-0. In your packets, there was an RFP for services provider. Mr. Rumsey, you want to introduce that one?
Sure, I'm going to rely on Teresa here, but what we did is, we've had a couple proposals that came in, inquiries. We hadn't revisited that, the cost per session for PT, for OT, for physical therapy, occupational therapy, for some psychological services. So we did a request for proposal for things in that area, and it came in pretty well. Teresa, if you want to summarize that results, I think it would be good. And then you can make recommendations. We're changing contracts, so I'll throw that out there. All right.
We currently use Juventus, and we put it out. We received a bid back from Maple City Physical Therapy. They have an office here in Bath, and they're familiar with Medicaid side of everything, which was awesome. And their bid came in as the lowest for physical therapy. We also were communicating with a company. Their main branch was out of Utah, so I kind of thought that was going to be a far-fetched, but supplemental health care. They came in with some really good numbers for speech. So we're going to, because their location for us would be out of Buffalo. They use Erie One, or I should say Erie One BOCES uses them a lot. Michelle checked their references, everything came back good. So we're gonna be doing some services with them just to see if they can find anybody in our area that can actually do the speech. So we're kind of asking that you approve the PT and the speech. We had the attorneys look at both contracts and those were okay. So we're hoping that in the long run, it's going to save us a lot.
So the bottom line is we've got 3 good companies, 2 we know of. Third, we want to experiment with a little bit, but bottom line is not losing quality of service for our kids. Yet the significant difference in cost per session is something we have to look at.
So what about OT services? Because I thought we did a lot of OT. No?
We just hired an OT in
Oh,
August.
that's right. You're right. I
Yep.
forgot we brought it in-house.
Yep, we brought it in-house, and any supplemental pieces are with Juventus. We still have them.
So
but
is there a reason we aren't considering bringing the other services in-house as well?
the return on investment, I think, would be, we're always analyzing that, but I don't think we're ready for that yet, based on the quality of them or the quantity of them. OT wasn't going away. That was increasing every year significantly for the last 5-year trends. We'll be looking at that more significantly because we're always looking at, okay, not just the cost per year for a salary, but also the benefits and retirement packages that cost involved
Sure.
in it, you know, which carries on long after they're done. But at the same time, as we bring those high needs, special needs classrooms back from BOCES, they come with a significant number of services. So that spike may warrant us having to bring somebody on staff to save money and to improve the quality of service in the future. But right now, we feel pretty confident about where we're at.
With the SHC being based out of Buffalo, it is what's the thought process and having somebody local? I mean, will they be doing the hiring of the local person? Will we be managing or, like I say, screening the individuals that would be local?
I believe we would have, go ahead, Teresa.
They would be hiring the person, but we have final say, is how it's written. We have right now, we have to give Juventus 30 days. So that's why we were under, what we were going to do was just see if they can even find anybody to give those services. And if they can, you know, try that person out, see how things go. The biggest concern is they have to be able to do the Medicaid side of it. It's not a lot of extra work, but yet it is something that is required. So, there's going to be starting out slow with that one.
So what happens if it doesn't work out and we're not satisfied? Do we go back to Juventus?
Well, we're still going to keep Juventus on for speech.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
There's a supplemental contract that we worked out with our attorneys just to try it, so that we're not, cutting ties on an experiment. We value Juventus and what they've been doing for us. We just, we have to look at the financial component too. And obviously, Mike, we even had the conversations with, if they're bringing somebody, we would want them local if it can't be done via communications based on the COVID environment right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're even taking those into consideration. We're not just bringing somebody in.
Okay, so the recommendation then is to approve contract for PT services with Maple City Physical, and then with SHC for OT psychological and any additional speech that is needed.
Yes.
Correct? And we can do that all in one resolution, or do we need to do those separately?
I would think.
Yeah,
we
one time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take a motion then on the recommendation, as I just mentioned, for the contracts of those services.
So moved, Ward.
Warren, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Okay, Cleveland? Narby?
Aye.
Ward?
Aye.
Warren?
Aye.
Rusak?
Aye.
Yardam?
Aye.
Mishuk, aye. That carries 7-0. Okay. Next item that was in your packets was just we do this annually, which is just approving the cost methodology for our our services with GST BOCES. I think there's just a few minor changes, but other than that, everything looks pretty similar to what we've always done in the past and how they bill us for those services. So motion to approve that methodology.
Evans, move.
Yardam, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Okay, Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward, Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardam,
Aye.
Mishuk, aye. That motion carries 7-0. We've already done 1.4, 5.1.4 and 1.5. Next is, I should have done this earlier too, but you can see that there. Motion to approve the acceptance of the single audit report that was submitted by our external auditor. In your packets.
I'll move it.
Motion by Rusak.
Second.
I guess I heard Ward second. Any questions? Doesn't matter. Any questions or discussion? All right, Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardam,
Aye.
Mishuk, aye. That carries 7-0.
Actually, Narby did that. That was a yawn from me.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Getting late for you, Scott?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Get some coffee. Get that cappuccino on that sign right
Yeah, really.
there. Your packets was also an update to our Medicaid policy, which I believe the change is based on a legal requirement. Is that correct, Mr. Rumsey?
I've attached the legal recommendation from Hogan Sarzinski for you, just more protections.
Okay. So as typical, this is just a first reading of this policy change. Is there any questions or discussion on that? Okay, so hearing none, then we'll approve at our February meeting. And last business item is there's recommendation to approve a new high school course. think Mr. Siebert is on here. Maybe we'll let him introduce this one.
Seriously?
Hey, you're awake. All right.
I'm awake. I'm eating dinner. I like it. You guys, I mean, you have in front of you the course, and we're looking to have Kim Ortiz teach this course. It is a course that is really going to be student driven. It's one of those classes that's going to be student driven. Students are going to find something that they really like and love to do, and they're going to really get a chance to take a deeper look into something that moves them. So it's certainly along the line of those 20th century types of things that we're looking at. So any questions?
Bottom line, it's a nice elective. If we can fit it in, we want to do it.
It'll be one of those classes that we'll actually we're going to try to see if it runs. It'll fit really well with the yearbook that she's teaching right now in terms of we're looking at it for the first year to be just an every other day bi-elective class. So that's what we're looking at to start with.
Essentially an independent study, like if I did an independent study in college for certain credit, correct?
Yeah, but it's not it's an independent study. But they're gonna learn a lot of things in terms of learning about themselves, learning about what they like. It's not going to be like they're just necessarily just going to pick something out of the blue. I think they're gonna spend some time researching and taking a look at what interests them, and then go from there. I hope it'll be a lot more than that, just independent study type of thing. That we'll be able to do a little bit more than that, I hope.
And one of the first things that jumped out at me is it could easily be supported with all the critical skills that we've identified in our strategic plan in working with our kids. So it meets the needs there.
We talk, they talk a lot about Genius Hour and those types of things. We didn't want to give that the name of it. So that's why we look at more of a passion type of thing of what your passion is, and trying to spend some time really looking into what the kids might really like to do and like to learn about. So.
Well, that was a good introduction. Thank you, Mr. Siebert. You can go back to your meal now.
It's good. We got some good meals tonight, so I'm happy.
Okay.
I can do that. I can do this all the time. These Zoom meetings work well.
How do I mute the principal? How do we do this?
I'll mute myself.
Is there any other questions regarding the proposal?
Thanks, Mr. Siebert.
All right, I'll ask for a motion then on the recommendation to approve the new courses presented.
Warren, so moved.
Yardum, second.
Once again, any questions or comments? All right, Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardum,
Aye.
and Mishuk, aye. So that carries 7-0. Okay. Motion to approve the personnel consent agenda.
Move.
A second.
Motion and a second. All Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardum,
Aye.
and Mishuk, aye. So that carries 7-0. Non-instructional recommendations. Just had this up. First, we have a request or a resignation request from Alicia Hamilton as a teacher's aide. So motion to approve.
So moved.
Ward.
Ward motion, Yardum second. Okay, Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardum,
Aye.
Mishuk, aye. That carries 7-0. We have a recommendation for appointment of Michael Johnson as bus monitor as a probationary appointment. Motion to, and that's because we had a resignation, so this is filling one of those, correct, Mr. Rumsey? Okay. Motion to approve the appointment.
Warren, so moved.
I'll second.
Rusak, second. Questions? Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardum,
Aye.
Mishuk, aye. That carries 7-0. And we have 2 recommendations of permanent appointments. The first is, if there's no objection, we'll just do this as a consent. Hearing none. So the first is of Carolyn Kohler as bus driver. It's a permanent appointment, and of Jennifer Sweet as PC coordinator. So motion to approve those permanent appointments.
You heard him, so moved. Dead silence.
Warren, second.
Wow. Okay.
We're all holding out.
Everybody wants to speak over each other here. They're all waiting now.
Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardum,
Aye.
Mishuk, aye. So that carries 7-0. And I think there was another. We have a non-instructional retirement request as well, that, and that is of Julia Weldy, who is retiring after a few years, and she was a teaching assistant, or actually not.
Cafeteria.
Oh, I'm from the cafeteria. Okay.
It
So
just came in a couple days ago. Sorry for that coming at you.
Okay, so motion to approve the retirement of Julia Weldy.
Moved. Cleveland, so moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Warren, second.
Okay. Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardum,
Aye.
Mishuk, aye, and that carries 7-0. And we wish Julia a happy retirement and hope she can enjoy some time to herself. And we also thank her for her service, of course. All right. That's all for the business items, Mr. Rumsey, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As we have been doing for the last 6-7 months now, if there's any questions or comments from any visitors online, to please email them or call in to our district clerk, and then we will have them come to the board, and we'll either, if we need to, we'll bring them up at the next meeting. We do have to go into an executive session. No action to be taken after for discussions, just initial discussions on upcoming contractual negotiations, litigation update, and a personnel matter. So again, there's no action to be taken after. And with that, I'll take a motion then to go into executive session.
Yardum, so moved.
Second.
Second by Rusak. Cleveland,
Aye.
Narby,
Aye.
Ward,
Aye.
Warren,
Aye.
Rusak,
Aye.
Yardum,
Aye.
and Mishuk, aye. So that carries 7-0. And we thank everybody for joining us online tonight. And we will see you in February.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, everybody.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, I'll record this. I'll stop the recording, and I'll stop it and take care of it now.
Thank you.